The Persistent Rumor presents Chocolate Yoddah Live.
Hey folks, Chocolate Yoddah here, spelled Y-O-D-D-A-H, because film studios are litigious. And welcome to another installment of Chocolate Yoddah Live. Today is Tuesday, June 27th, 2023. And hello to the folks listening on the Wisdom app. Otherwise, hopefully you're watching on YouTube Live. And welcome one, welcome all. Let's get the party started. So, let's see. We have first couple of listeners over on Wisdom. Matt and Lindsay May. What's up? Hello, hello. So, today what's on my mind, I woke up and was listening to Abba and Preach, a podcast that I listen to frequently. And there was an argument between a teacher and a student about gender and identity. It was actually kind of shocking that the student seemed to know way more about the subject than the teacher, but hey, that's the nature of the world, right? So it got me to thinking. I have a vivid memory from when I was 9 years old. And we had moved to Long Island, and for whatever reason on Long Island, one of the ways that you could be teased is by someone referring to you as a mo. And a child said that to me. Another 9-year-old said that to me on the playground. And I just remember saying, "What's that?" Because I had never heard that before. In Manhattan and Queens, that wasn't a thing. No one ever said that to me. And he said, "Oh, you know, like homo." And I was like, still nothing. I don't know exactly what I said, but that was the feeling. Like, yeah, I don't understand what you're saying. And then he said, "Well, you know how you like girls?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "There are boys that like other boys the way that you like girls." And I went, "Ah, all right." And that was my entire reaction. And in the 50 years that have passed since that moment, I have never felt any differently. It's a non-issue to me. I don't care at all. What brings you orgasms? Who cares? Only two criteria, right? Really only one, which is consent, right? If you are, let's see, what could the specific criteria be for who can engage in sexual congress? Well, all right. So let's say adults, although the law is a little murky on that, because if it's two children under 16, I'm whatever. And even what's funny is the states can't even agree on what the age of consent. At a certain point in America, there was a state, or at least one state, that had 12 as the age of consent. And I know around the world that's not uncommon. But in America, there seems to be somewhere between 16 and 18 is the criteria for consent. But so let's assume they're adults, and let's assume there's consent. Aside from that, what else matters, right? And I feel this way no matter what you bring into it. Two boys want to kiss each other, two girls want to kiss each other. 3 or more people want to kiss each other. Like, I don't care, as long as they all agree that that's cool, right? And even when it comes to stuff that I don't understand, Since I'm on YouTube, I'll have to watch my language. But, let's say two people decide that part of their enjoyment is going to the bathroom on each other. I don't care. I don't understand it. I don't get it, but I don't care. I am fascinated by that. I've mentioned this before. I'm absolutely fascinated by two things. One, somehow someone conflates sexual stimulation with, elimination. Let's call it that, right? But that's not the thing that fascinates me the most. The thing that fascinates me the most is how you find someone else that's also into that. Because, I tend to deconstruct things. Like once I learn about something, I kind of try to figure out the mechanics of it, and at some point, one person has to open up the conversation with another person about eliminating on each other. How, hey, I like someone going to the bathroom on me. Do you like that too? And I'm guessing that's not the exact wording, but I'm fascinated. That's the greatest sale of all time. I've been in sales since 1984. So, and I've been a student of sales for almost that whole time. So I'm very fascinated by how you convey an idea to someone else and how you persuade another person. And persuasion is not a negative thing. We do it to each other all the time and in very positive ways. Advertising is persuasion. Now, advertising can be used in the wrong way. All persuasion can be used in the wrong way, but it's not inherently evil. It's like, hey, I want you to do something. I'm going to explain to you why I think you should do it. And then it's on you as to whether you agree or not. So somewhere along the line, someone, and this obviously happens all the time, and this happened pre-internet, hey, I'm into this thing. Are you into it too? That's a very delicate conversation that I imagine could go very wrong very quickly, right? So I am fascinated by that, but I digress, as I often do. So you've got people that engage in sexual stimulation in ways that are different from the way you do it. Yawn. Who cares? It is completely a non-issue. I remember hearing a comic, and for some reason I don't remember who it was this time, but he said something to the effect of, until two gay men need me to be in the middle between them while they have sex, I am just not going to care about it. And that's how I feel. I'm not involved. It doesn't affect me. No more than two mosquitoes having sex. It doesn't affect me at all. What could be the issue? Oh, someone's making loud noises. All right. Well, now what they're doing somewhat involves me, but not in a direct way. I might bang on the wall and say, hey, please keep it down. I'm trying to drown a puppy. I swear I really do say things just to make myself laugh once in a while. And if you laugh too, that's icing on the cake. Well, anyway, so it's always been a non-issue, and I feel the same way about gender, right? This argument that the teacher was having with the student at a certain point became ridiculous. And the reason that it became ridiculous, in my opinion, is that the teacher kept trying to move the goalposts, and in an effort to do that, sounded dumber and dumber every time. Because the student was asking practical questions like, well, what if someone identifies as a cat? Do we then have to pretend that they're a cat? Or does that automatically make them a cat? I said this last week. If you arrest me and put me in jail, and this is again under the auspices that we have to believe everyone's identity, I think that's a mistake. I think we have to respect it, or it's appropriate to respect it. We don't have to, but it's appropriate to respect it. I don't mind that. But do we have to accept that someone's identity is fact? So again, I'm arrested, I'm put in jail, and I go in front of the judge and say, Your Honor, I identify as a free man. You must release me. Is that how it works? Does jail work like that? Do we have to respect and believe that person's identity and then act according to that belief? Well, clearly the answer is no. Right? So this is why there's questions about this. And, you know, people get offended when you ask questions, and especially if they don't have the answers. People get embarrassed if they don't have the answer to your question. So rather than just say, you know what, I don't know the answer to your question, or your question is starting to dismantle my argument, they'll say, you're a misogynist, you're a homophobic, you're a transphobe, right? They'll throw out these words just because they've heard them online. And it's like, really, I'm a misogynist? I hate women? Are you sure about that? Or do I just think women are goofy? And I do. I love women. I think they're goofy. If that makes me a bad person, then I'm a bad person. But I think I'd rather focus on the love part, right? And again, at the end of the day, it's just my opinion. If I think you're goofy and you think you're not, who cares? You know, you might think I'm an idiot, and I might think I'm not. Who cares? One of us is right, and maybe both of us are right. I have been an idiot on many occasions, too many to count, in fact. Okay, so if you want to say you're an idiot, you might have a case for that. But I just don't care. But here's the thing, folks. People, adults, are making decisions that have real-world effects based on the idea that we just have to accept belief at face value. And we don't. We never have before, and it's worked perfectly fine, you know, and I'm not talking about when it rises to the level of oppression. I'm completely against that. Of course I am. I've been experiencing oppression my whole life. So of course I'm not for oppression. That's why black Republicans confuse me. Like, why are you embracing a party that actively hates you? But that's a story for another time. But really, like, my experience in the world has been that I have had violence attempted against me in the name of oppression. Someone didn't like the color of my skin and tried to hurt me. They found out that was a bad idea, but that's neither here nor there. When that happens enough times, it's stressful. I empathize. I understand how horrible oppression is. I would never want that for another person. But let's allow for questions when things are different. I remember being in junior high, and this is going to sound like a weird thing and maybe a silly example, but it is along the lines of what I'm talking about. You know, people with darker skin, when they have dry skin, it's more noticeable than someone who is white. Okay? We refer to it as ashy skin. And I remember these two girls were walking behind me. I remember who they were. I'm not going to say their names, though. But these two girls in junior high were walking behind me. And at the same time, and I think they must have organized this, they must have conspired to sing this question in harmony. But they both said, "Why are your elbows silver?" And I mean, I thought it was weird because I never thought about that before, but I wasn't offended. I looked at my elbows and, hey, guess what? My elbows were dry, so they were ashy, so they looked silver. So when you are presenting something different, something new, something that's not straightforward and easy to understand, please understand that we have questions. You know, look, if someone gets bitten by a dog, we're talking about someone who has experienced physical pain, and by the way, that happened to me when I was 5 or 6. A dog bit me. I still have the scar under my arm. He was going for my brachial artery. He was trying to kill me, right? That dog drew blood. I had to go to the hospital and get stitches because of that. And you know what one of the questions were? Did you do anything to it? Now people would call that victim blaming. But when something happens, we ask questions to gather facts and understand. And one of the things that we're trying to understand is where the responsibility lies. When you go to court and say, I want to divorce my spouse, they ask for clarification. What is the reason? Why are you doing this? So this is the world. This is the world. You make an assertion, you do something, you are asked questions, you are asked to justify. If you show up late for work, they go, what happened? Most people don't show up late for work and just go, good morning, and then start their day. People go, oh, why are you late? What happened? Did something happen to you? Was it because they, traffic, man, it was crazy. I sent you a text. Did you see it? They want to know, was this just you being lazy, or do you have a reason? Give us the facts so we can understand the situation. Isn't that what the court process is? Imagine being on trial and the prosecution is cross-examining you. Did you murder that person? I did not. Well, does the judge just go, well, that's it, we're done here? And what if the prosecution asks follow-up questions? Well, can you prove you didn't murder this person? Of course I can prove it. I just said it. When I said I did not murder the person, that is proof that I did not murder the person. Is that how court works? Anyone? Someone? Help me out here. Am I crazy? No, you've got to present information so that people can understand the situation. So when you say, I identify as something that is counter to the biology that we can observe, we have questions. In an ideal world, those questions would be respectful, and I know they're not always. And to those people that ask disrespectful questions, that's on them. They're being jerks. But, tell us about it. Help me understand. How does this work? And once you say a thing, once you say, I identify as, do we have to automatically believe that as if that now has changed the facts? Because there are biological facts to be had here. And again, no homophobia, no transphobia in my heart whatsoever. I've been hit on by gay men. Never bothered me. And when I was younger, I was pretty hot. I was thin, had a 32 waist, washboard abs from being an athlete, and a full head of beautiful hair. And men hit on me pretty regularly. In New York City, that was just a thing. And even after I moved out of the city, I spent almost all my time there. So I had guys looking at my ass and, blowing kisses, the whole thing. And you know what I felt? It wasn't anger. It wasn't hate. It wasn't violence. I felt flattered. Another human being finds me attractive. What am I going to get angry about? Isn't that a good thing? I think it is. I know of guys that have said, yeah, I punched that dude. You know, why? Here's a conversation I had one time. This actually happened. This was in the break room of a store. I was working retail for extra money back in 2011. This dude was like, oh, this, you know, he used a derogatory word. This F hit on me. And I was like, yeah, so? What do you mean, so? He's lucky I didn't punch him. What would you punch him about? It's a dude. I was like, yeah, no, I get it. A guy hit on you. What would you punch him about? It's a dude. I said, yeah, listen. Repeating the word that I didn't understand the first time won't make me understand it. So I got it. It was a dude that hit on you. A man hit on you. I get that. Why would you physically assault that man? That's meathead thinking. That's just some knuckle-dragging troglodyte. I have no regard for people like that. But, you know, if we're having a reasonable conversation, if you present me with something that is complex and, you know, happens so few times. I mean, it's a tiny population of the world. And that alone is not reason to dismiss it. I'm not dismissing it. If I'm asking you questions so that I can understand you, that inherently means that I'm not dismissing you. I want to learn. I want to know. I want to grow as a person and be able to, if not empathize, at least sympathize. At least have, well, sympathy's kind of useless. At least have compassion, right? Let's have compassion for one another. I'm all for that. But again, you're bringing me something that's not easy. It's not an easy thing. But let's have respect for each other. Let's have an open mind for differences. You know, I mean, this is something that we deal with all the time. I really don't understand the problem. It's like we're all different. It's funny because we are simultaneously all the same, right? Only 1/10 of 1% of DNA separates all human beings that have ever lived on planet Earth, and that's over 150 billion people, roughly speaking. 1/10 of 1%, a tiny drop of DNA is what is responsible for different bone structure, different skin tone, teeth being, you know, configured different ways, shape of your face, shape of your head, shape of your eyes, and the dreaded melanin. You know, some people are better adapted to cold. Some people are better adapted to heat. So we live with these differences. I mean, sometimes we don't. Of course, people are murdering each other over some of these differences, but the vast majority of us are getting along just fine. We have differences, but when you meet someone from another culture, don't you ask questions? What do you like to eat? What kind of music do you listen to? Do you drive on the left or the right of the road? This is commonplace. This is totally accepted. This line of questioning. And so here you are, stating something that is very unique, very unusual, very different from the beaten path, and you're going to get upset if someone asks you questions about it? That's arrogant. And I've seen it. I've seen videos of people just getting all arrogant. You know, like this big linebacker looking dude got mad at a clerk because he said, "Sir." It's ma'am. Come on, man. You think that's obvious? You look like a linebacker. You're over 6 feet tall. muscly. You think it's obvious that we're supposed to call you ma'am? You're being ridiculous, and your tone is arrogant. Let's have a little compassion. I think that would be like the greatest thing in the world if everyone just had compassion. You want to talk about what the one thing that would fix the planet would be is compassion. But anyway, so those are my ideas from my monkey brain. Wisdom, if anyone wants to come on, the mic is open. And if someone comes on, I'll end the YouTube part and continue on the wisdom part. But that's it for today. That's on my mind. Well, we do have a guest at Wisdom, so hang in there. I will be, as soon as I shut down YouTube, I will get to you. So, folks, thank you for watching. We do it every day, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. Peace, love, and granola. Talk to you soon.